Well, so what is all this? Payday is celebrating its 10-year anniversary as a franchise, and because of that, there's even a little event going on right now. Well, what's new? What got added? What can we expect? So on and so forth. Let's break down what we currently have and what we might expect to see from the future. First off, here's a little roadmap laid out of what we might expect to see. At the time of making this video, we are right here, at the in-game celebrations. I didn't make a video earlier since, well, there was nothing to talk about yet, but now we've got an in-game event and possibly more stuff in the future. I'll make subsequent videos for future content if they're worth checking out. There were also hints of news about Payday 3, but it remains to be seen if there's any news worth mentioning. Of course, if it is, you guys will probably see me make a video on it. So today, the new event was added. Killing specials will spawn balloons that you can shoot, and when you pop them, each one will give various buffs to the team based on the type of special that you killed. We also got a suit skin, which is basically a large clown outfit, because, you know, we're clowns and all. We also got a fancy jester mask, which is basically a souped up version of the Payday Con jester mask. So I'm going to showcase the various buffs that you can get from the event. These are available from any heist as long as you play in the event playlist. To start off, we have the shield, which regenerates a small portion of your armor. Next we have the medic. Taking out his balloon will grant you 100 health. The bulldozer's balloon adds invincibility for 15 seconds. Yeah, you heard me right. Invincibility. It's as every bit broken as it sounds. It even stops you from getting down by cloakers. Killing a sniper will grant you infinite ammo for 15 seconds. Yep, that's also pretty overpowered. Shooting the taser's balloon will refresh your ammo. As far as I can tell, it just gives you max ammo. I didn't get a nice showcase of the cloaker, but shooting the cloaker balloon will grant you double damage for 20 seconds. Now, I'm gonna be frank with you, this event was fun for all of like 3 minutes, and then it got incredibly boring. The gameplay is basically the same as it always is, except now you get some crazy strong buffs when you kill a couple specials. If you ask me, rather than spicing up the gameplay or making it fun, all it did was make the game just that much easier. And you know what, I get it. There's a lot, and I mean a lot of people that enjoy this kind of stuff. I mean, the most downloaded mods of all time for this game are basically cheat mods, or stealth cheat mods, or meth helpers. You know, you get the point. People really enjoy when they feel strong, or when they have an easier time with the game. Now, maybe I'm just some old fart nobody listens to, but this event didn't give me a feeling of fun or satisfaction. You know, whoopee, I get to feel like what it's like to be a hacker. Okay then. You know, after playing one mission, I already had my fill. Now, the Payday community doesn't like me being all critical and stuff because that's not something I can do apparently. But let me offer some constructive criticism, and maybe possible alternatives they could have taken inspiration from. Let's take a look back at another recent addition that got added to the game for an event, the Cash Blaster. I think a lot of people would agree that that was also an overpowered addition. What makes this so different? Well, the Cash Blaster actually had a lot of effort put into it, for one. The money particle effects, the new animations for killing enemies when it did a little dance and jig, and they even had music. It felt like we actually got something unique. And for me personally, it gave me an excuse to change up the gameplay. Instead of just going with yet another assault rifle or yet another shotgun, I was running around with the equivalent of the flamethrower as a main gun. And I'd wager that that's not something that a whole lot of people do on the regular. It was a really refreshing change of pace for me, and I thoroughly enjoyed the weapon. Plus, while the weapon was strong, it wasn't so grossly overpowered that it made the game easy, so to speak. Whereas, you know, this current event, these balloons definitely make the game way too easy. So the point I'm trying to make is that instead of just trying to make us feel like cheaters, maybe add something to spice up the gameplay. This also made me think of another game that had some weekly gameplay rotations, Killing Floor 2. It's been a while since I last played, but I had fond memories of their weekly modifiers, like big head mode, exploding enemies, and shrinking enemies. And these weren't just fun cosmetics either. I mean, they were fun, but they weren't just that. They had functionality that spiced up the gameplay immensely. Take, for example, big head mode. So everything has big heads, but they also took less headshot damage. So that made choosing going for the head or going for the body a conscious decision that changed even based on the perk that you were using at the time. Like, say, if the perk you used had bonuses for scoring headshots. And then there was exploding enemies. When they explode, they hurt a shitload, meaning you can't engage them in close quarters or indoors. Again, this forces you to change how you play, but not in a totally restrictive way. And then there were the tiny enemies. So this one is hilarious. Enemies shrink in size when they took damage. Other than that, nothing about them changed. So that meant when they shrunk, they'd still hit just as hard as normal. But now, they're the size of a garden gnome, making them that much harder to hit, and you got the strongest enemies in the game, the size of a gnome, chasing you down and murdering you. So as you can see from the examples I chose, I'd like something at least a little unique in terms of gameplay, you know? I'll even throw in an example from Payday itself. One of the previous April Fool's updates, there was one I remember fondly of, where select weapons had their sounds changed into, well, basically acapella sounds. You know, people were making shooting sounds with their mouths. Sure, that didn't change the gameplay at all, but it was really fun to swap around different weapons until you found one that had its audio swapped. And at the very least, it still felt creative. Personally, I also found it pretty funny, but I know a lot of people didn't. Unfortunately, this event just doesn't have that same creativity. But maybe that's the point? You know, I don't know what goes on in the developers' heads, but maybe they wanted an event that didn't go too crazy or overboard. And like I said, it's not like this concept is foreign to most people. A lot of people actually really like the dopamine rush of infinite ammo or god mode. Maybe I'm just the weird one that would have liked something a bit more fresh, you know? Well, I guess I can't expect much creativity out of Overkill when they're the minds that came up with the medic dozer and the minigun dozer as new enemies. Well, other than my personal nitpick, at least the event itself is alright. You know, there's nothing outstanding, but everything works as it should, and I do concede that it can still be fun to feel like an overpowered son of a bitch. I'm definitely keeping my eyes out for new stuff, though. It'd be nice to see a new community weapon, or maybe a new perk deck or something. You know, the recent DLC to the game have been, well, they've gone back to full price. You know, there's no more bundles or discounts for them, so, you know, maybe throw us a bone. Or at least pretend I'm still alive. Anyway, the event goes on from October 18th to October 28th. As I mentioned before, it remains to be seen what other goodies we may get, but I've learned to temper my expectations over the years. In any case, it's amazing that the franchise has been able to last as long as it did. I still remember my friend bugging me to play Payday the Heist on Steam when it was super cheap. Back then I was still new to PC gaming, so it was a bit awkward, but it was still fun, and it was challenging as all hell, especially when you had basically nothing leveled up. I still remember when we looked up how to do overdrill, and my friends were screaming at me on TeamSpeak. TeamSpeak? Was it on TeamSpeak? It was on Ventrilo. I don't remember anymore. But yeah, they were screaming at me not to fuck up the puzzle. This was when the game was pretty old, though, so the overdrill we did was much easier, so it wasn't like an accomplishment or anything. Still, fond memories. Fond memories. Reminds me of simpler times, and how much I wish I can go back to them.